On this special edition of Independent Sources, Soccer Sensation, how the world's game is growing in New York.
The United States actually cares about soccer or football, depending on where you come from. And New York City really is the poster child for it because of the ethnic diversity.
And Football United, using the sport as a tool for social change in the South Bronx.
We have kids that, when they join in middle school or in 9th grade, would never have thought they'd be going to college. They had no role models at home. They'd be the first ones in their family to go to college. But after reaching junior year, they are assuming they're going to college.
Those stories and more coming up on Independent Sources. Welcome to Independent Sources, bringing you news from New York's ethnic and immigrant communities. I'm Zyphus Lebrun. It's the eve of the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, and if you haven't already noticed, soccer, or football, as the rest of the world calls it, has arrived in New York. It's not just the British that are coming, it's the Germans, the Ivorians, the Argentinians, and yes, the Brazilians as well. They're playing in parks all over the city, and they're filling pubs on the weekend to watch their favorite local league matches and the European League matches during the week. Jack Keane is the manager at the Football Factory, a midtown pub that caters to the soccer faithful. He's been promoting the game in the United States for nearly 20 years. Here he is telling us about how he's seen the sport grow in his own words.
I initially came to New York in 1993, and I saw there was a big void for football, as I call it, soccer as it's called here, and I decided to take it upon myself to start showing at the time English Premier League matches, and that began in the 93-94 season. A certain number of expats showed up to watch the big teams, Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, etc. And I noticed at the time it was the era before the instant television pictures were coming to your cell phone, before the age of internet, etc. I used to tape the matches on VHS tapes, and a lot of people wouldn't know the score from a Saturday game and used to come in on a Wednesday or Thursday evening, which sounds absolutely ridiculous now, but 20 years ago, often people would not be aware of a Saturday result until a Wednesday or Thursday when they watch it on VHS tape replay. And sometime, I think, around the 2002 World Cup was when I really noticed it. That World Cup that was in Korea, Japan, all of a sudden, hordes of what I would call the locals, the New Yorkers, the people from, this city, came out to support. And of course, those games, if you remember, were at 2, 5, and 7 in the morning. So if you like, a new breed of soccer fan was born on the back of the 2002 World Cup. And people said to me, Jack, there's no way people will come and watch games at 5 and 7 in the morning. You might do business at 2, but you won't. And let me tell you, I was jam-packed from midnight to 10 in the morning for the whole month of June. I will never forget it. I think that a realization was finally born, probably on the back of ESPN's attitude. They had been so blasé with soccer for so many years. All of a sudden, the powers that be, in the worldwide leader of sports, in the main American sports channel, I think there was a serious behind-the-scenes get-together of the heads, and they said, look, this is the future. And you can see now, I mean, the deals that have been done by ESPN to secure the World Cup, NBC to secure the rights of the Premier League, Fox to secure the Champions League. Across the board, all these massive American TV channels and conglomerates are putting huge amounts of money on the table. That would have, when I first got over here in the early 90s, people would never ever have believed that would have been the case. I was downtown for 17 years. That was the initial location, and basically what happened there, I encouraged the formation of supporters clubs. Everybody knows that I support Manchester United, and obviously that was the first supporters club that was formed, the New York Reds. But then so many other clubs were formed by guys who were following Premiership teams, Bundesliga teams, Serie A teams, French teams. I think people have found such a relief by watching football and by following their teams. It's a way to let off steam. It's a way to get together with other like-minded individuals. But I think most important, it brings together a sense of community, like you belong, and you know that around the world there's millions and millions like you, following the same teams or against the same teams. And I think it gives people a great sense of identity and community. And there's two global currencies in the world. One is music and the other is football. And there's no getting away from that. And each World Cup shows us just how important this coming. It's almost like football saves us from ourselves in a way, you know. I mean, you can argue it's just a game. Of course it is, and oxygen is just a gas.
Jack Keane just told us about how much of a religion the sport of football can be. No other country epitomizes that more than Brazil, the home of Jogo Bonito, or the beautiful game, the style of quick passes and balletic plays that the Brazilians pioneered and used to define the game over the years. We went to Little Brazil to ask New Yorkers how they thought the sport has grown in the U.S. and how the local Brazilian community is reacting to the cup going back home.
Are you excited about the World Cup this year?
Yes, I'm actually really excited. My boyfriend's from Brazil, so I'm feeling all the fever and everything. It's really cool. I work right here at Chips and Salsa, and it's awesome because we're gonna get to watch all the games, and all the people are so exciting. I just like the vibe. I'm going from Brazil, and I like Sao Paulo team. I think everybody knows that Brazil's gonna win the World Cup. I think so. I hope so.
So do you feel like soccer has grown in popularity in the United States at all?
Oh, definitely. I've seen it. Well, you know, sometimes I go down to Jersey, to Newark, to see the Red Bulls, and I've seen lots of Americans go into the games, and you know, every time more and more Americans, and I think it's a sport that has everything to be a popular sport in the United States.
How do you feel about the fact that the World Cup will be in Brazil, your home country?
I think it's something that people should celebrate, should be happy about it. We're a country that have lots of problems and issues, you know, but this is a start. This is a beginning. We're showing that you know, we can host a big event like that. You know, we're going to work in our problems, and it's good because it's bringing a lot of debate, a lot of protests. People are raising their voices, and government will have to listen to them. So I think overall it's a good thing.
How do you think this block is going to be when the matches are on?
Oh, this is Little Brazil, so it's going to be crazy. Via Brazil is right here, and there's another Brazilian restaurant over there. It's going to be crazy.
Still to come, a storied franchise in the history of U.S. soccer makes its return after nearly 30 years. Before that, Abby Shola has some other news.
Thanks, Zyphus. Here's a look at some headlines from New York's ethnic and community media. From Voices of New York, the city is getting the word out about a plan to help young immigrants. DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals plan, protects young immigrants from being deported. It provides them with work authorization and offers a Social Security card to eligible people who arrived in the U.S. before they turned 16. Yet less than half of the 79,000 young eligible immigrants in New York City have taken advantage of the program. Some believe low enrollment is due to a lack of education about the plan and the $465 cost to enroll. The Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, the Department of Youth and Community Development, and the Young Men's Initiative have teamed up to create an awareness campaign on DACA that will include advertisements in English, Spanish, and Chinese. African American politicians aren't taking the issue of climate change seriously, according to Charles D. Ellison of TheRoot.com. In an op-ed piece for the website, Ellison says President Obama is one of the only African American politicians who's talking about the issue and working towards a resolution. This while communities of color are disproportionately impacted from problems that arise from climate change. Ellison cites that cities in Florida, Louisiana, New York, and North Carolina are drowning under rising sea levels, while Chicago, St. Louis, and Kansas City are hit hardest by heat waves. He calls out the Congressional Black Caucus, the NAACP, the National Urban League, black lawyers, and the black media for ignoring the issue. From Tablet Magazine, more than 20 Orthodox Jewish women in Borough Park, Brooklyn, will become certified EMT workers. The group called Ezra's Nashi will be on call to respond to emergencies involving Orthodox Jewish women. Jewish religious rules require that men be separated from women, but it is acceptable for a man to attend to a woman in an emergency. But having male EMT workers show up could be personally embarrassing for a woman in certain situations, such as childbirth.
Our thanks for your hard work in selecting the finalists.
And finally, members of the ethnic press were recognized for their outstanding work at the 12th Annual IPPES Awards. The IPPES honored entries from 10 categories for excellence in journalism. The Malum Press won first place for an immigrant story, while Feet in Two Worlds received the highest prize for multimedia coverage. Other winners include World Journal and Desi Talk. Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and filmmaker Jose Antonio Vargas served as the keynote speaker of the night.
It's probably the most diverse group of journalists you're going to find anywhere in New York City. So say hi.
Essence co-founder Edward Lewis was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award for co-founding one of the country's largest African-American multimedia outlets. A full list of award winners can be found on the Center for Community and Ethnic Media's website. Those were just a few headlines from New York's ethnic and community media. Independent sources will be back right after this.
Thanks for staying tuned. Towards the end of the 1970s, there was a grand experiment to try to popularize soccer in the United States. The New York Cosmos was created with a roster that boasted the likes of soccer icons Franz Beckenbauer and Pelé. Not to oversell this, but if soccer is religion, then Pelé is God. But the league where the Cosmos played soon went under because of financial troubles. Now the North American Soccer League is back, and the second-tier organization hopes the new Cosmos team can live up to a legend that was written in the stars. The new-look New York Cosmos team is hard at work on the pitch as they prepare to continue the defense of their 2013 Soccer Bowl title. The faces are different from the legends such as Pelé and Franz Beckenbauer, but the goal is the same.
We're trying to capitalize on that legacy, to honor that legacy, but also now put a great team on the field and play attacking soccer that people love to watch.
Stover's been charged with not only bringing the team back to its heyday, but also sidestepping the same financial pitfalls that ruined the previous North American Soccer League.
It's a grassroots organization. We're not throwing millions of dollars at advertising. We're going out to the community. We're doing a lot of charity outreach because we feel it's important. It's integral to who we are. And that can be a slow process, but it's working.
Also integral was choosing a coach who would buy into this idea of a family-first team, where no single player was bigger than the organization. To that end, Stover hired Giovanni Savarese as his head coach, a Venezuelan international who had spent much of his career playing in the U.S.
For me, it's a privilege to be part of this organization with so much history, as you mentioned, but trying to create a new future. We have a special group from the top, from our ownership to the players and vice versa.
And he's done a great job of actually following through on that. It's very easy to put something like that aside when you have an opportunity to sign a player that has pretty high stature, name recognition, but might be difficult in the locker room. But we've stuck to our guns. We haven't done that. And I think it's shown on the field.
So far, the team has been able to average nearly 7,000 fans at Hofstra's Stewart Stadium in Long Island. That's second only to the San Antonio team, the Scorpions.
We have three primary supporter groups: the Borough Boys from the 5 boroughs around New York City, La Banda del Cosmos, a Hispanic-based organization. A lot of those guys are from Queens, but from Central America, South America. They have roots in soccer from a different part of the world. And then we have the Cross Island crew, which is a lot of Long Island guys and gals, and they have their point of view on soccer.
At the time of this interview, the team was second in the standings and looking ahead to a showdown with the First Division MLS team, the New York Red Bulls. Coach Savarese says derbies like these, where teams from the same area play each other, can only be good for raising the Cosmos profile and for promoting soccer in the United States.
It doesn't matter who plays, if they are the starters, the bench, it's the Red Bull against the New York Cosmos. And for that reason, everybody's expecting Red Bull to win. And for us, we have nothing to lose, but a lot to gain.
If things continue to go as planned, the league is expected to grow from 10 to 16 teams by 2016. The Cosmos have already proposed building a privately financed $400 million stadium at Belmont Park in Elmont, New York.
We think the quality of play is similar to MLS, and in a few years it can be on the same level and viewed as first division soccer.
Even as the Cosmos hails the team's success so far, there are still obvious questions as to whether this team can ever live up to the standards set by their predecessors.
We will never live up to those players. I mean, those are the greatest, some of the greatest players to ever play the game, and we're never going to be them, and we're not going to be that same team. I mean, that's for sure, you know. So, but we realize that there is pressure to win in this club, to win championships. It's a winning franchise, so I think that's a good thing. You know, as a professional athlete, you want to play for championships. You want to be expected to win. I think that's what what the fans expect of us here.
There's no pressure in this job. There's a sense of responsibility, which is different. Is for us to be always our best, for us to work very hard, because this is what this organization deserves, you know, and that's what the past deserves as well from all of us.
While the New York Cosmos has been trying to put themselves back on the local football map, the Cosmos Copa has become the nation's preeminent amateur adult soccer tournament. The competition unites New York City's diverse community through the sport. Local teams representing over 40 different countries will compete in this year's tournament. Sarah Pizon reports on the origins of the Copa and follows last year's champions, NYC France, through their first practice of the season.
Arrivez là-bas, vous sautez aux genoux, les genoux, on lève les genoux, et à mon signal, on y va.
The French national team is practicing right behind me, here at Randall's Island. Their goal, defending their championship title in this year's New York Cosmos Copa. It took France nearly 40 minutes of extra time and 7 rounds of penalty kicks to defeat Senegal 2-1 in the final of last year's tournament. The annual tournament gathers semi-professional players from over 40 countries representing New York's diverse international community. The French team is made up of bankers, business owners, teachers, and they're all from multicultural backgrounds.
Ultimately, we're representing a country, representing a nation. When the France won the World Cup in '98, it was a bunch of black people, Arabic people, white people. There's a very good complot, the Black Blanc. And if you see the picture of us winning in the finals, it's a pretty good representation of the country itself and all the communities.
It was also the organizers' plan to showcase the hidden soccer talent in the most cosmopolitan city in the world and bring those immigrant communities together.
It was basically social change through soccer. What we wanted to do was tighten the communities in New York City through this game. We wanted people to rally around a team.
Chris Noble is a New Yorker who came up with the idea in 2008. At the time, he worked on a marketing campaign for Nike.
There was still like that, nothing kind of going on an annual basis. I just felt like that was a crime. And it just was in my brain, it just stuck in my brain. I was like, why isn't there a New York City World Cup? This is a total waste of great soccer talent. The game should be showcased here. It's like people should see what's going on here.
He brought on a partner, his friend Spencer Dormister, a former player and coach who had a lot of contacts in New York's soccer community. Together, they approached Andy Gould. At the time, he worked with the city's sports commission.
And we met with them and realized that they could pull off what they were saying, because we had a lot of guys come to us say, we can pull this off, we can create this mini World Cup, but they didn't have the goods. And Spencer and Chris really understood it, because that was the whole concept, is that you want to have teams representing these different communities.
So Dormister and Noble ran their idea by the United Nations. From there, they connected with foreign consulates and eventually approached local community leaders to build national teams.
Once we got the UN involved and the city involved, like the mayor's office was involved, like Mayor Bloomberg was at our games. We had a big party at Gracie Mansion. He's like, he saw what was going on. He saw for him a reason for him to stay connected.
So they called my friend Frédéric Lessor, who owns restaurants in New York, and they said, could you build like a French team in New York? I said yes, and he asked me because we used to play together.
Zoher Genania is a former Division I soccer coach from Brittany, France. Now he's an economics teacher at the Lycée Français of New York. He sees the tournament as a great opportunity to promote a positive image of France after the national team's poor showing in the last World Cup.
Remember South Africa, the World Cup in 2010? It was a disaster regarding what happened there. The behavior of some professional players was unacceptable, and in the world the people that they didn't understand what happened in this French team. So for us, it was like, listen, we are the French community, we want to show that we have talented players, we love to play nice soccer, but at the same time, we are well-behaved men and well-educated men who wants to represent the best of the French community in New York City.
We talk about sports, but mostly like an amazing human experience. Sounds cliche, but actually matters a lot because it made a huge difference when it comes to supporting each other, playing together, and coming together on the field.
Their unity and skills are sure to be tested in the upcoming tournament because they're no longer the dark horse.
Now we are not the underdogs anymore. We are the champions. Everyone wants to beat us, so it's a big challenge this year.
The French team hopes that a larger crowd will turn out this year to see them defend their title. Since the Cosmos Copa began in 2009, it's grown at a remarkable rate from 16 to 40 teams in 5 summers. It's become arguably the most prominent amateur soccer tournament in the country. Now, its founders hope New York City will be recognized as the soccer hotbed it has always been.
I think the message also globally was that the United States actually cares about soccer or football, depending on where you come from. And New York City really is the poster child for it because of the ethnic diversity. Whether you're first generation or just off the plane or the boat, this is a soccer town, and we're going to have our own MLS team that plays in the 5 boroughs.
Noble has a similar vision, and that was one of the reasons he wanted to get the Cosmos involved in the Copa. He eventually sold the tournament to the New York Soccer League in 2009.
It was kind of a dream come true. I got to work with Pelé, a hero of mine. He hugged me and said, "What you're doing for New York is a great thing." And for me, I was like, that's it. That's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear. It's my legacy. I just hope it goes forever and I hope it gets bigger and bigger every year.
For Independent Sources, I'm Sarah Pizon.
This year's Cosmos Copa will run from July 19th to August 2nd. You can learn more about the tournament on the website cosmoscopa.com. When we come back, using soccer as a tool for social change in the South Bronx. Finally from us, South Bronx United is a program that uses soccer to foster young leaders and scholars. Sarah Pizon tells us more about how the SBU is making an impact in a community of football fanatics.
Mamadou Junior Traoré is a 16-year-old high school student originally from Mali. Every day after school, he comes here to the Macombs Dam Field to practice soccer with South Bronx United. It's been a rough couple of years for Traoré. After his older brother went to jail 4 years ago, his parents feared the Bronx was not a safe place for him, so they sent him to live with an uncle in France. When he returned to New York last year, Traoré turned all of his energy and free time to his passion.
Soccer just, I don't know, it's like medicine. It just, whenever I'm sick, it's there for me. And it just motivates me to keep on moving forward.
Traoré is a forward or striker, just like his favorite player, Fernando Torres, of the English Premier League team Chelsea.
They call me Torres. That turns out to be my favorite player, and so I told everybody to call me by that name, and they just do.
Traoré is among the 600 students, aged 4 through 19, that play soccer with South Bronx United, or SBU. SBU started as a small after-school soccer coaching program in 2009. Then it grew much larger because of the power of some of the South Bronx soccer-crazed immigrant community.
About 95% of the kids are from immigrant families, and almost half of them themselves were born outside the country. Second, they're able to walk. They're getting a soccer ball at their feet. There was no program in the South Bronx for them to play, no team for them to be a part of that would get them out of the community, give them a chance to travel, and potentially use soccer for a way to get into high school or college or even beyond that.
It's hard for teenagers like Traoré to get out of the Bronx. The area is the poorest congressional district in the United States. And statistics show that nearly half of high school students drop out before graduating. With that in mind, So leveraged a football-fascinated community interest in the sport to attract students to the program.
Whether it's after-school tutoring for high school students, that's college prep, SAT prep, and then we have a social worker on staff that works with kids and their families around whatever issues that might come up. And we have a staff that also supports a number of kids around immigration issues.
The club has become so much more than an after-school program for students like Traore.
My teammates here, whenever we're going through down stress and stuff, like I motivate them to move on forward. They have problems, they come tell me about it.
Traore is a 10th grader at the Bronx High School of Business. His priority is passing the upcoming Regents exam so that he can go off to college and become a psychologist. So's been one of Traore's biggest supporters, pushing him towards that goal. His #1 mission has always been to plant the college seed in underprivileged children in a community like the South Bronx.
And we have kids that when they join in middle school or in 9th grade would never have thought they'd be going to college. They had no role models at home. They'd be the first ones in their family to go to college. But after reaching junior year, they are assuming they're going to college. Yeah, it's a big shift for sure.
For the past 5 years, all of the children participating in SBU have graduated high school. 94% of them have gone off to college. That success has caught the eye of Major League Soccer clubs. In April, SBU was named the youth affiliate of the NYCFC, the newest professional football club taking the pitch in New York.
And what that means is a lot of our kids and coaches are going to have access to clinics and camps and trainings and perhaps have the opportunity to watch the professional team or the academy play soccer and learn from them, and may potentially lead down the line, who knows, to one of the kids from the South Bronx having the opportunity to play with a youth academy from New York City FC, and who knows, maybe down the line get out on the professional field with a professional team.
As the students practice and play in the shadows of Yankee Stadium, Traore hopes that one day soccer will overshadow baseball as the borough's iconic sport.
I think it could potentially. I hope it can have a voice for the Bronx. But as we speak right now, it's baseball.
For Independent Sources, I'm Sarah Pizon.
That's our show this week. Thanks for staying tuned. Till next time, be independent-minded.